Thanks for joining us today. We're super pumped. She's been one of my favorite people that's come through these studios the past few years. Give it up for Tove. We love Tove. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's been a couple years.
I know. How have you been?
I've been good.
Good.
Yeah, we've had a lot of cool guests come by throughout the years here in Philadelphia, but you are one of my favorites.
Oh, thank
one,
you.
One of the most sincere, realist people. I always have a blast talking to you. It's like talking to an old friend.
Oh, same. I try to keep it real.
And when I
be myself.
I always kick off all of my interviews by drinking out of my Tove flask.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah, I always kick off. Doesn't matter who I'm talking to. Like you're talking to Big Sean. I don't know. I'm drinking my Tove flask.
You're like, this is what you should be giving.
Relax, guys. It's only vodka. It's okay.
It's only vodka. Nice.
You actually sent out like a whole Tove breakup kit. It was pretty cool.
I did.
What was it? There's like
Yeah.
a notebook. Obviously the flask.
There's the flask. There's a notebook when you can, write down things about your ex that were, bad about them or something. And there's a little voodoo doll. So if you're really angry, you can just stick little needles.
My fiance took that. That's in her office. I'm a little fearful of what she's doing with that right now.
You just get like a fierce neck pain.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, what's
A kick in
that?
between the
Where's
legs.
that
Yeah.
from? A little card, like a greeting card with some, inspirational words and
it
the
was
song
adorable.
playing. Yeah.
It was awesome. No, it's just so nice to have you back. We saw you on Stephen Colbert. That was an amazing performance.
Thank you.
You guys saw that? Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah,
What's that whole process like?
TV is like pretty special. You like show up kind of early in the morning and you like run through the song a few times. You get to like kind of practice a performance, see this, the stage setup that you want to do and stuff. And then they do camera angles and like, try and look into this camera at this time. And you kind of work with their team and figure out, the best possible way to, because you get one chance, and then when that's done, it's like kind of a lot of hours of waiting and getting ready. And then when it's showtime, it's like, go. You have to like nail it. Yeah. So
That's intense.
yeah, I was mainly nervous about making sure I was saying like the clean version because that can get you into trouble sometimes if you don't.
I love that. Now, when you're away and you're writing and you're putting together your next piece of work and you're kind of noticing who's out there on the radio currently, who are your favorites? Who have you been going to lately, I guess, for inspiration? I know that you like Billie Eilish, right? That's one you
she's
like?
so cool. Yeah, I've been to a few of her shows and I just think she's it's been really cool to witness because it's like such a like devotion and kind of like she really speaks to a generation and like fans that they just click in a way. And I think just her and her brother they just have a very beautiful way with words.
She's 17.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
that's stupid.
I
Like,
wish I was that cool at 17.
That's ridiculous. I can't even imagine that. I think I was scooping ice cream up at Friendly's when I was 17, and she's
I was
the
working
biggest-
at a bakery.
Were you really?
Yeah.
That's amazing, and she's like the biggest thing in the world. It's nuts. Now, are you friends with her?
I mean, I don't know her that well. I've met her a
Gotcha.
few times, but she's super sweet to me when I meet her. Because
yeah.
I'm like, hi,
For sure.
I'm your biggest fan.
Just standing her.
Yeah, just standing there staring. No, but she's super nice. Yeah.
Is there other influences, like when you sit down and you're like, okay, what do I want to say in this album? Are there other pieces that you pull?
I feel like, I pulled so much from my life that I think it's very subconsciously if there's like, any kind of, vibe that trickles in. But I'm a huge Robin fan. I just went and saw her show in New York, and it was fantastic. It was just like a big dance party. It was so beautiful, and she's always been a big inspiration. And yeah, I think just like all the women around me really inspire me a lot.
I love the way you write because I feel like every song I hear from you, you really illustrate everything. Like you put me in the moment. Is that?
Oh, thank you.
Is that done like on purpose? Like you really want to illustrate it? Like I really see the details in your writing.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. No, I think that really, when I was younger, my teachers would say, like, you're going to be an author. Like, that's you're a writer. That's what you're going to be doing. And it wasn't, like, I found music a little bit later. So I think for me to, like, paint a picture is really important, yeah.
Is there anything off limits when it comes to writing, or are you open? But I know you're very open in interviews and a lot of your music as well. But is there anything off limits when it comes to your album?
I think, I think maybe writing, like calling people out, like making, I feel like even though I write about, past loves and like emotions, I write it from me and like it's like my experience and what I went through in it. I feel like I don't like call people out in that way. I think. I think that's from like I wouldn't like name names or anything.
Right.
I think that's like if you date a songwriter, you're gonna end up in a song. That's just
Right.
how it is.
It's just the way it is. They should know that by
They
now.
should know that
Songs
by
have been
now,
a
yeah.
thing for a while.
Yeah, it's like exactly. But I think like making sure that I guess it changes if you date someone famous, then it becomes a little bit more like everybody knows what you're
Right,
talking
right.
about.
But you're not
yeah.
going to name drop them. You're
No,
not going to ruin their
exactly.
summer.
No, exactly.
Yeah. I always wondered this about, like, because you're a true songwriter, and I always wondered, is your biggest fear as a songwriter to not have any more to say? Is it a fear of yours, or is your arsenal always full?
No, literally before every album, I'm like, I have nothing more to say. I said everything. I usually, it was kind of since I released like Ladywood and Blue Lips so close together. It was very like after Blue Lips, I was so drained of like because I was making the album and touring during that. So I was just like, I'm so sick of myself. I don't want to think about my feelings and my life even for a minute. Like I need a break for me in my head. So I started writing with other artists for a bit, and that kind of made it like it was relaxing for me to like. So what are you thinking about? What is your heart like? What's your
From a different vantage point?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And then after a while, after kind of like living for a bit and doing that, I was like, ooh, I have inspiration again. But yeah, it was very much like, what else can I say? I don't know.
What's next?
Like,
Yeah.
What's next?
And I love the album coming out this fall is called Sunshine Kitty, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love the name. I got 4 cats, so I was like, this hits home. This is great. What's the meaning behind that, Sunshine Kitty?
It's kind of a funny story of like me sort of realizing that it's a happier album than the past ones, and also like there's definitely still some like vulnerable heartfelt songs on there because it's just part of me, but I think in general just has like maybe like more hopeful tone, and also like it was kind of a play on power, and it's also the last kind of like inspiration behind it was this episode of Girls where Lena Dunham talks about how this author like lays out and like tans her because she wants to soak up the energy and glow from the sun, and that gives her the glow on her face. And so I was like, that's really cool. That's like a very she's like getting the power of the sun, So I thought that was really awesome. Yeah.
So when you go in to record this album, since you've had all these, big hits on the radio, like talking about Habits is honestly like the last 10 years of pop music, Habits is like up there for me. That song is so brilliant, so good.
Thank you so much.
So when you go in to record your new album, do you think, okay, I need like 2 or 3 songs for radio, I need 2 or 3 songs for me? Like, what's that thought process like? Is it none of that? Is it more organic?
I have no idea about that until like I sit down and kind of start playing it for people, like play it for my publisher and my label and like the people that I have around me that I work with, and then I can kind of tell which one hits home and the more like this will like resonate with more people. Also, we can say this title on radio and stuff like that, which has been a problem in the past. And like kind of a song that is like will be more available. And then there's like, but I usually, I don't really know. I can't really tell that stuff. I just kind of,
you just write the
I just
music.
write.
And you guys can do whatever what you want with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, which one do you want to go with first? Like, I can have like a feeling of like I would want to start with this one, but then when it comes to like taking it to radio and kind of making it the single, then I'm like, I don't know.
It's up to you. I don't know.
Up to you guys, yeah.
And Glad He's Gone is the first single. We loving it. That song is so good.
Yay! Thank you.
So much fun.
Thank you.
Congrats on it. And
Thank
tell me
you.
how that specific song came about. It's definitely really fun. Like I laughed out loud when I first heard the hook. It's really, really great.
It is. There had to be some versions of that one too, obviously. But no, I was writing with some of my Swedes from my songwriting collective that I'm signed to, and we were in Sweden. There was like a really dark, snowy January day, and I know Johan, one of the producers, had one of the writers had sent me like the guitar riff like over Christmas, and I was like, this sounds really cool. Like I like this, and kind of new for me and stuff. And then when we're in the studio, I was just kind of riffing on melodies and doing the na 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 na. Sorry, I'm a little tired of my voice. And he was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. And then I just kind of started like. Words just started with like he's done and then he's gone and then like oh it feels like it feels kind of like a breakup song, but I'm like I'm not going through that right now, so I'm kind of in, but and it just kind of, I'd been to Sweden, so I'd seen a lot of the girlfriends that I grew up with, like the girl like crew that I used to hang out with, and so they were like on my mind, and I was like all the times that we would give each other that speech when someone was dating a fuckboy or just some idiot, and just all the times I've been given that speech and the times I've given it to just like get each other out of a shitty situation. And so yeah, that's just kind of clicked the inspiration, and then kind of describing those like situations.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it's an anthem. It's like a powerful anthem, but it's also really, really funny. It's great.
Yeah.
And you're gonna perform that one for us, right? And a few others.
I am.
Yeah, it's amazing. Tove. This is so cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna take my flask.
Enjoy your